What's up, ladies and gents? Ryan Kostroski here with the Ryan Kostroski Show, episode 5. We're going to talk about some of the things that I kind of wish like the younger me had understood better. You know, we all grow up, we get smarter, or at least we're supposed to get wiser as we get older. Not all of us do, but the majority of us will. And it'd be great to have a time machine to go back and change some things, but at this point in time, that's not quite feasible. So I know I'll probably have a good number of younger viewers on here, you know, people in their late teens, early 20s, where you're still kind of shaping and molding the way your life is going to go. These are just some things I wish I understood when I was a little bit younger. Like I probably feel like I had a grasp on it back then, but now that I'm, older, approaching my 40s, I have a little bit more life experience. I really wish these are things I could have done a better job with and understood myself. So let's start with number one, and that is for the love of everything that you can think of. Please teach yourself to save money. You got to make it a habit, make it a habit, make it a habit. Doing some of the little things that can go a long way. If you hear about how there's a lot of people struggling in the United States these days, right? The way that our economy is shaped, there's a good majority of the public that they really struggle to save money. Well over 50% of the population can't even afford $1,000 trip to the emergency room. And that sucks, man. Been there, done that. Totally understand how those things go. But if you can do some of the little things that will help you save some money, I mean, we all want to retire at some point, and with life expectancy going longer and longer and longer, I mean, retirement age is likely going to be postponed and postponed and postponed. But there are little things that you can do in order to make this more feasible for people. And if you start young, it can be a major help. I can legitimately recall one of the few times I actually paid attention in class. I forget what the class was called, but I was in school at the time, and they showed you the value of you could find a way to invest 10 grand prior to your 21st or 25th birthday. I forget which one it was, and what it would be worth to you come retirement age, and how much you would get like 2 years of your life, maybe even 3 into retirement by doing some of those simple things. So, like many marriages, this is a point of contention within mine. I think most couples at least have some struggles as far as where money should go, who spends more, who's a better saver, and things like that. So, I doubt she's watching this, but my wife, for example, goes to Starbucks 3, 4 times a week. Okay, if that's your thing, great. But little habits like that can become expensive. So every time you roll through Starbucks and then you get, the cake pops for the kids and stuff like that, and a little coffee turns into a $12 trip, you do that 3, 4 times a week, that kind of thing adds up. She drinks these kombucha teas. And I know because I buy them for her at the grocery store. And if you drink one per day at a little over $3 a piece, I mean, multiply that by 365. We're talking over $1,000 a year on some stupid tea. Water's free. I drink a lot of Crystal Light, pretty inexpensive and things like that. Or at home, I drink coffee at home. I can buy a big thing of Folgers or whatever's on sale at the grocery store for about $9, and it'll last me the majority of the month. For cocktails at home, I usually have a bottle of whiskey that'll last me about a month. Cost maybe $22. Instead of she'll go out and buy those 6 packs of the beers that she likes, but like $12, $11 a piece. That kind of thing adds up over time. So trying to explain like just these kombucha teas to her that cost about $1,000 a year if you drink one of them every day. I went out and I just kind of wanted to show you guys like an idea of a savings calculator to let you know what you could do with money like that if you were to spend it more wisely. All right. So what I talked about right here is like, for example, if you were to find a way, whatever it is, scratch, claw, whatever you need to do to, let's just say you can invest $10,000 as your initial deposit. And let's just say you're going for a 6% return, which, if I talk to any of the people in my family or my friends, and a lot of them do finance stuff, that's not an unreasonable goal right there. It's 6%. So if you're doing that by your 25th birthday, and let's just say you work to the age of 60. So 10,000, 6%, 35 years. That is a lot of returns right there if you can figure out ways to do like that. Unfortunately, majority of people aren't capable of doing something like that. And I get it, because when I was young, I wanted to have a lot of fun too. And I was the one going farther in the debt as opposed to finding ways to make money. So even if you do something along the lines of, if you take your $50 or whatever you have left over and you put 30 towards your credit card bills, but find 20 to save instead, that can go a long way for you. That's like 2 years in retirement right there for you, depending on who you are and what your goals are. But that could really go a long way. But even if it's just little things like I talked about, like just say you save $1,000 one year when you're young by doing something. You just say, for this year, I'm not going to Starbucks at all. Maybe you were spending $1,000 a year at Starbucks. You save $1,000, 5%, and say you only wanted in there for 25 years. Okay, so right there, I mean, you're getting multiple return on your investment. So little things like that can help you retire in the long run. It's just good to get into those types of habits. And I was terrible about those things when I was young. I mean, all those last drinks that I probably couldn't even notice that I had. I mean, imagine if I had saved that kind of money. All those cab rides for all those nights going out. If I could have just stayed in once a month, saved $100 and put that towards something like that, have a much better savings account right now. I feel way better about retirement. But like most of you, I mean, there's money in there, but I look at what we have going for retirement savings and I just don't feel comfortable with it. Now, granted, I'm probably going to be working for another 20, 30 years, so I got a lot of time to fix that, but still, would have been easier to accomplish some of those things earlier on in your life. So if you can develop some of the habits, it'll go a long way for you because nobody wants to be working into their 70s or 80s, which is unfortunately the way a lot of people are probably going to end up living down the road. So next up, all right. So I've touched on this one and I've touched on it over and over again, and I will continue to touch on it, guys. And if I can say this once a week, and if I can get one person to do it, I will be a happy camper. And that is find something that you love to do and make that what you do. I saw this was a video. I think it was Joe Rogan, and I watched this maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and that was when I kind of inspired myself to start talking about fantasy sports. I love math and I love sports. The two things just work together. But it just talked about how most people find themselves in jobs that it's a thankless position. You're not really feel like you're contributing to society. You hate what you're doing all day long, every single day. And then by the time you get home, you know what? I'm going to put that video down in the description section too, just because I kind of watch it maybe once a month just to re-inspire myself to work extra hard at the things I like. But you find yourself in these uncomfortable jobs where you don't want to be working in a cubicle or doing something you don't want to do all day long. When there are ways to find something you love and make that your career. Now, it's a shitload easier when you're younger, guys. So for anybody out there who's 18, 19, 20, 21 watching this, if you can figure that out at a younger age, it is significantly easier when you don't have kids around. When you can struggle being poor for a few years because you don't have anybody else you need to take care of, it is much harder the older you get. So explore when you're young. Find things that you could be passionate about. Find things that you enjoy that you want to do. So a couple examples besides what I'm currently doing, and I would like to lean on other people for stuff like this. And I brought her up on a video already, but there's a young lady I went to college with where I kind of talked about it. She was owned her own law firm. Obviously, if you own your own law firm, financially, career-wise, you're probably doing something at least all right. But all those social media posts always seem stressed out, angry, just not happy because she would spend all of her time answering emails, dealing with clients. And it's just it's good for some people, but it's not right for everybody else, I guess is the best way to look at it. Since then, she sold her practice. She now is a yoga instructor, and I think does a lot of volunteer work at her kids' schools. Well, financially, probably not the way that things used to be, but you can tell even just by her social media personality, she is so much happier. Another young man I went to high school with, I'm not really friends with him, but we are Facebook friends, which I think we all know that doesn't really mean anything. He runs his own fishing charter business that he just kind of started. I have no idea how he does financially, not really my business, but you can tell that he enjoys what he does. Instead of spending all day in an office, he goes out and he takes people fishing. I'm not a fishing guy, but I know a lot of people who like fishing. If that's something you want to do, I don't think it would be the most difficult thing in the world. It would just take some hard work and dedication on your part. But everything I see from him is, smiles ear to ear. Seems like he really likes what he is doing and just seems happier than somebody who hates their job every single day and has to go in and do something that they don't want to do. So again, right now, maybe I don't have the steady, safe income I did a few years ago when I worked for somebody else, but I'm definitely happier. Even my mother-in-law was up a few weeks ago and she said, I don't know what it is, Ryan, but the last few times we've all hung out, you just seem like you're in a better mood and you're happier. Well, I was like, no shit, Sherlock. That's a big part of it. I actually enjoy getting up in the morning now and doing what I do all day long as opposed to dreading walking into an office, doing something I hate. And again, this is so much easier when you're younger, guys. So for all the other 30 and 40 and 50-year-olds listening to this, man, it's a struggle. I was in a weird position that I was able to do the two jobs at once. It allowed me to build a base up to kind of follow my passion. That's not for everybody. It's not going to work out for everybody. So I was fortunate in that aspect. But for a lot of people, man, if you can figure this out when you're much, much younger, find something you're passionate about that you love. And if you're still interested in being rich, the money will come if you kick butt at it and you work your butt off. Otherwise, there's a lot of jobs out there that maybe won't be very financially rewarding, but will reward you in other ways. Find something you're really, really passionate about and go kick the crap out of it. All right, last up. I also touched on this one real briefly in the other video, but make an effort to keep your friends around. Now, I think a lot of us, when we're younger, we have a lot more friends than we do when we're older, and that's for a variety of reasons. One, most people couple off, and either your spouse or your significant other becomes kind of your life. You have kids and things get busy. I get it. I'm stuck in the middle of that right now, and I completely understand. And I say this knowing that I am just as guilty of all of my other friends that, at points of our lives, we're really close, that we just don't see each other enough or talk to each other enough. I have a good group of friends here in Green Bay. It's only a few deep, but man, I feel like we go months at a time without seeing one another because we get busy and that stuff. But it's got to be an effort. You got to make an effort on both sides. And it is so easy to let people fall out of your life. And I can think of a large, number of examples of people that I was at one point really close with, that if it wasn't for Facebook, I wouldn't have any clue what's going on in their life. And even with Facebook, I still don't really know much about it because it is hard to make that effort. So friendships are valuable, and you don't make as many new ones as you get older, just because you're a little bit more introverted, you're busier, you don't have time to go out and things like that. And it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So you kind of get set in your ways. And I think most people are like that. For those who continue to grow and, create new friendships as they get older, that's pretty cool. But for the most of us, it just doesn't happen nearly as often. A couple examples out of my personal life. I had a buddy of mine that throughout the college years and into our early 20s, we were thick as thieves. Lived with him in a couple of different apartments and things like that. And then he got engaged. We had a small argument that escalated into something bigger, but you know how guys are. We would have shook that thing off real easy. But I happened to meet my wife right around the same time this happened. So I got busy with my relationship. He was getting engaged, so he got busy right there. And then we ended up moving back to Green Bay before everything's really ever get patched up. And we're fine and we're cool today, but it's never the same. It's, very rare text messages and things like that. And as much as I kind of wish things were different, I know realistically they're just never going to be. This would take some hanging out time, one in person as opposed to just the occasional text message going here. So that kind of thing can be bothersome. I was actually Facebook messaging with a friend of mine from college, and she's close enough that she's even was invited to our wedding and things like that, which I think most guys know. You don't invite a lot of single girls to your wedding, but I was talking to her last night because she had read my Facebook post about my daughter sticking a game piece up her nose, having been there for a while. Long story short, we have a mutual friend, and it's actually this girl's best friend. A couple years back, she passed away out of the blue, which, this was devastating for her. These two girls were, thick as thieves is an insult to say something like that, because these are maybe two of the closest people I've ever known in my entire life. And it took that situation in order for us to start talking more on a regular basis, which is no excuse for that. Like, we were still close before that. Why would we go a year or two without a simple phone call or a text message and things like that? And it took that sort of thing to change. So it shouldn't, though, right? I think we should all do a little bit of better job, especially the older you get, of maintaining your friendships, making that extra effort. A couple weeks ago, I called one of my best friends from college. He'd had a baby recently, and I realized that, and the kid was 2 months old already. It took me 2 months in order just to find the 15 minutes to give him a call and see how things are going. So again, no excuses. Should have done it earlier, but we all get busy in our everyday life, and it does. It definitely takes effort on both people's sides. So if you can make that effort, it'll go a long way. People are important. I think that's the most important thing in life, is who you get to spend it around. Make the extra little effort. So anyways, guys, that's about all I got for today. Anybody who subs to the channel, sincerely appreciated. Since this is my second YouTube channel, I've been doing this for a while. I know a little bit how it works. YouTube really makes you work for your first 1,000 subscribers. After that, you get more suggestions in the other areas of YouTube, so you get more followers. So in the beginning, going to be a little bit of a struggle. You could help me out by giving the thumbs up, sharing this, tweeting it, whatever you think you might want to do, or you just very simply press and subscribe. It is all sincerely appreciated, guys. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. More to come.